The following is a presentation of WLCN 96.3 FM and WLCNonline.com. This live video stream is made possible in part by WLCN's live stream technology sponsor, Me Realty, located at 602 Keokuk Street in Lincoln, and online at merealty.com. Here on WLCN 96.3 FM. My name is Loyd Kirby. I'm the marketing manager here at WLCN, as Mabel, of course, decides to make her way across the control board promptly at 4:02, but it is not the first Tuesday of the month, so please do not adjust your calendars, but we do have Tracy Welch, Mayor of Lincoln, in. Thanks for joining us today.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Sure thing. Normally Tracy is here the first Tuesday of the month, but the folks with Lincoln Community Theater had a fundraiser coming up actually this weekend, so in an effort to get the word out about that, they came in last week, and Mayor Welch was gracious enough to swap times with them or swap dates with them. So normally you are here, as I said, on the first Tuesday, and I should know this, but I don't. I watch them on YouTube. What are the meeting schedules in terms of like the city council? Isn't there a council of the whole meeting, and then
so tonight's a committee of the whole, and the next week will be our regular voting meeting, and it alternates every week.
Okay. And so I was looking online at the most recent live stream video of the meeting, and at least the portion that I seemed to get bogged down in was the Sangamon Street project and what is happening with that. Can you, for those who may not be aware, can you kind of give us some background of where things stand after the fire and what some of the issues are moving forward that the city has to consider?
Yeah, so most people know that there was a fire, a pretty large fire at 129 South Sangamon, and the city had to step in the interest of public safety because that building was already down. It was one of the walls had already fallen and after the fire, and so we knew that we needed to step in at least for the safety of the public and address that, and we did. That came at a cost, though, unfortunately, to the city temporarily. We've got a couple $100,000 wrapped up in that project. I will say that we have received an insurance check for $109,000. So we'll work on the other portion. But the conversation last week was really stemming around, okay, now that the buildings are down, Jaron Industries, who was a contractor, come in, removed all the debris. It was around the footings for that wall that's exposed still of that next building.
Okay.
And there was a difference of opinion whether we should put concrete in there, whether we should put dirt in there. Ultimately, the city council voted to go ahead and pour concrete footings in there for the stability of the wall. There was also some conversation about, okay, the wall that's exposed now, it was an interior wall, so some of the tuck pointing's not that great. There's some holes where there were support beams, painted various colors. It's just kind of a hot mess over there. And so that was part of the conversation, was do we spend the additional money to do that final step and get that wall back to a condition where it looks presentable outside and it's safe. So that was a lot of the conversation.
Sure. And a lot of the conversation that I heard had to do with flowable fill concrete. Now, is that a different than just a standard old concrete? Or?
Well, I'm not the expert on this one, but my understanding is it's more stable than just regular concrete. Okay. So perhaps that's what drove up the additional cost on that. But there's, quite a few square feet there that have to be poured, and it's a long wall, so unfortunately it did cost us a little bit extra money for that.
Yeah. And so now the lots where the buildings were located that actually burned down, what is happening with those? Does the city own those now, or are they still owned by a private individual?
Yeah, they're still owned by the private individual. I can tell you that because we have a substantial investment in that particular place right now, the city is going to put a lien on that property. We do that anytime that we have to expend taxpayer dollars in property such as that. So we will put a lien on there. We've got to get the final work done on that project, which should be done here fairly soon. And then we'll put a lien on it. As part of that tax or that insurance payment we got, the taxes were wiped clean on there, which makes that easier for us to be able to step in and acquire that property. So that's the plan, is we're going to try to get control and ownership of the property. What happens after that, we'll just have to follow up on when the council decides.
Yeah. The other thing, before we get too far away from it, on the building that is still standing, as the council was going through its discussions, there were different dollar figures thrown out. There was a $48,000 figure thrown out. There was a $60,000 figure thrown out.
Yep.
But the way I understood it, the $48,000 was basically the cost of the work that was recommended by the engineers and that was being voted on, whereas that additional funds were there just in case there was, you get into the project and you find something that you have to deal with, whatever it is, so that they wouldn't have to come back and ask for more money.
Yeah, of the $48,000, $20,000 was the flowable fill, as you said. $28,000 was for tuck pointing, painting of the wall, filling in some bricks, stuff like that. And then, so that was $48,000. And then at a previous meeting, it was just recommended by a council member that to allow for some contingency in case something comes up, that they just set that amount not to exceed $60,000. Right. They did come back and amend that, and I think it's around $54,000 now is where we ended up at. But they did leave contingency in there in case something comes up.
Sure. And that covers the stabilizing of the foundation with the concrete, as well as, like you said, the tuck pointing and some painting, just sort of, I guess they aren't all cosmetic improvements, but just make it look a little nicer.
Yeah, I mean, it covers all that.
I kind of see both sides of it. I mean, I think it's good that having it look great is going to obviously make it more attractive, but I kind of think back to when my wife and I moved and we were getting ready to leave our old house, and we were having a discussion about should we paint this bathroom? Should we not paint this bathroom? Because it was not a run-of-the-mill color, as I recall. But we were like, well, what if we paint it white and the owners come in and they want it blue or something like that? I mean, it's kind of hard to figure out how to decide those things, I guess.
It is. It's a tough call, and I do get the council's direction on that. It was, kind of a mix on how people felt about it. Another thing that I was keeping in mind as I was having conversations with others about this is that it was very unfortunate. That fire was just very unfortunate. It is unfortunate that we had to spend the money that we did, but I think that this is an opportunity to breathe new life into that block. which has been blighted for a very long time. And I think if the council is willing to make that investment and get that to even a clean slate position, then I think that just entices people that will come in and want to do something with that. And that's really what we want. We want more businesses. We want the buildings to still be there. We want tax revenue generating. So kind of looking at the future too when we were talking about that.
And as you mentioned during the meeting, people coming in by Amtrak and hop off the train, that's one of the first areas they see right there. So obviously we want something that's going to present the community in its best light and put our best foot forward and so forth.
Yeah. I mean, you never know, because there was actually a news story done on Old Joe's celebrating their 40th anniversary.
Right.
Well, it's right on the next block. Fortunately, we didn't see any news footage of this current building.
Right.
But, I mean, it just goes to show you that it can always happen. And I think we always want to put our best foot forward.
Absolutely. Once again, our guest is Mayor Tracy Welch. He's here until 4:30. If you have questions, comments, concerns, issues you'd like to bring to his attention, 217-648-5510, the number to call. We'll go ahead and take our first break and invite you to tune in tomorrow morning to Viewpoint, when we'll have representatives from Hope on 5th talking about some of the activities and the updates and things going on there. If you're watching the YouTube live stream here now, you will get to see here during this break our latest Crime Stoppers Crime of the Week. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
This is Corporal Brian Clements with the Lincoln Police Department. This week, Lincoln Logan County Crime Stoppers is seeking information in reference to 2 burglaries in Lincoln that have occurred recently. A building at 523 North Elm Street was burglarized during the February 1st weekend. Another building at 411 North Chicago Street was burglarized on the weekend of February 3rd. Multiple expensive tools were taken from both locations. If you have any information on this crime, please contact the Lincoln Logan County Crime Stoppers anonymously at 217-732-3000 or the Lincoln Police Department at 217-732-2151. Tips leading to an arrest could receive a cash reward up to $1,000. Crime Stoppers only wants your information and not your name.
The Lincoln Logan County Crime Stoppers Crime of the Week is brought to you by Me Realty, supporting a thriving community safe for families through support of the Crime Stoppers program. Me Realty, 602 Keokuk Street in Lincoln, and online at merealty.com.
Culver's is a family restaurant. To me, that means being the place that puts a smile on everyone's face. We're famous for our cooked-to-order butter burgers and frozen custard made daily inside our restaurants. But we've always believed more menu options mean more ways to brighten your day. We source the finest chicken to bring you our tenders and chicken sandwiches. And our cheese curds. They're a Wisconsin tradition we're proud to share with you. So take the next meal shift off and let us take care of you. Welcome to Delicious.
Culver's, home of the Butterburger, 2530 Woodlawn Road in Lincoln. Full Gospel Evangelistic Center makes an impact locally and beyond through a wide range of events, ministries, and outreaches. Pastors Steve and Debbie Owens invite you to worship Sunday mornings at 10:30 and attend Wednesday night Bible studies at 6:30. Connect with FGEC online, follow them on Facebook, download their app, and visit their new website at myfgec.org with live YouTube video streams as well as recordings of services and special events. Full Gospel Evangelistic Center, 304 North McLean Street in Lincoln. And we are back on the 4 p.m. 411. Our guest is Lincoln Mayor Tracy Welch up till 4:30. So if you have questions or comments, 217-648-5510, the number to call. You can also email your questions, 4pm411 at WLCNonline.com. We were talking during the break about potential topics to talk about now. You mentioned you've gotten quite a bit of positive feedback about sort of a recent I don't know what you call it, a statement or a stance, or I saw a Facebook post about it as well, about you as mayor of Lincoln reaching out and speaking with J.R. Glenn from the Logan County Board and some discussions and hopefully cooperations or I don't know. You can tell us.
Yeah, so Chairman Glenn, he was recently elected in December to serve a 2-year term on the board, and I felt it was a good opportunity for the city and the county to start working more closely together than we have been able to in the past. And we're really not trying to focus on anything that's happened in the past. We're just simply saying, we are the county seat, and things are better if we're all, as JR would say, rowing the boat in the same direction. And so we've started those conversations. I've invited the chairman to come to the next coffee with the mayor, so I think that's a good opportunity for people to meet him as well. So we're going to keep meeting and rebuilding on this relationship and start partnering on projects that come up. I mean, like we got Fifth Street Road project coming on. That's a city and a county project combined together.
Sure.
There's numerous other efforts that will come up or are happening. The county courthouse project, it's still happening. So we're just really trying to build a better future together, I think.
And then, shoot, I lost my train of thought. Oh, sure. Not the Chamber of Commerce, Tourism Bureau.
Tourism Bureau, yes.
Obviously, they're in Lincoln. I believe the City Council appropriates some money toward the operation of the tourism. Is that correct? So, but it is the tourism for Logan County, Lincoln and Logan County. So obviously there's some opportunities, as you mentioned, Lincoln being the county seat, gets a lot of the spotlight, I guess you could say. But I mean, there's lots of things happening, as you well know, in Mount Pulaski and Hartsburg and Emden and Broadwell. I mean, all over the county that sort of a rising tide raises all ships sort of a thing, that if we can get things, as you said, everyone rowing in the same direction, that should be good for everybody. Yeah.
So Lincoln is the primary contributor to tourism, and that's because the money is the hotel motel tax. It's generated by people staying in hotels. And aside from Atlanta, we are the ones with the hotels. But it's always better when we're working together. And I know in the article that came out, Jared Glenn talked a lot about, him and the county board, they represent Lincoln, but they represent all of the other villages and communities throughout Logan County. And there are tourism related events and activities and history for those locations. So we do need to be working together on that and other initiatives as well.
And so, not to put you on the spot, but how do you sort of foresee, what do you foresee in the future in terms of working together? Is it just sort of an informal, one hand letting the other know doing what they're doing, or might there be some sort of a, I don't know, city, county betterment board or something that kind of looks at countywide issues, or
well, we haven't really got that far. I think one of the things that we agree we need to start doing is having liaisons at both meetings. And so I'm planning on attending a county board meeting coming up. He's already come to one of our meetings. He may be there tonight, I'm not sure. But that's a start. And we really need to be mindful when things come up to say, hey, this may affect the county. Let me go ahead and loop the chairman in or their liaison, whoever they appoint. Let's loop them in so that they know what's going on. Because what we've seen in the past is things happen, and instead of trying to solve the issue, we're in reactionary mode.
Right.
We want to be proactive. We don't want to be reactive.
Sure.
So, and one of the things that we are very focused on is strategic planning. And so a couple council members are working on putting something together, but we want that to be in line with the county too.
Sure.
For the same reason. We all need to be working together for the same missions and goals. And so I think it's a positive start.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you've got, I don't know, a particular event going on and the city is planning on doing, or maybe the county is planning on doing this and saying it's going to take place X date, but the city maybe already has something else planned. Like you said, just being in the loop on those kinds of things and planning ahead rather than reacting to, oh my gosh, there's a conflict. How do we handle this? So, yeah, absolutely. A good thing, I would think. So we'll go ahead and take our second break now. Once again, our guest is Mayor Tracy Welch. 217-648-5510, the number to call, or you can also email any questions or comments, 4pm411 at WLCNonline.com. We will be back in 2 minutes with Mayor Welch.
Whether you're buying or selling your home, the brokers of Me Realty will work with you to get the deal done. As one of Central Illinois' top producing offices for decades, Me Realty has the experience to guide you through the process. You want results? Call the brokers of Me Realty at 217-735-5424, stop by the office at 602 Keokuk Street in Lincoln, or check out local listings online at merealty.com.
Hello, Lincoln and Logan County. This is Chris Grau from Grau Chevrolet Buick in Lincoln. When it comes time to choose someone to repair your car, truck, or SUV, don't you think you'd feel more comfortable working with the local people you know and trust? Our team in service, parts, and detail have the tools, training, and knowledge that will get your repairs done quickly with less downtime and at the right price. Call the local pros at 217-735-4444 at Grau Chevrolet Buick on North Kickapoo Street in Lincoln.
An accident or injury can happen any day. If you're living without health insurance, now is the time to find a health insurance plan to protect you and your family. New, low-cost plans cover doctor's visits, hospital stays, prescriptions, preventative care, and more. And you could get a tax credit to help you afford insurance. So call me, Dara Entwistle, 217-737-7581 to help you find a plan that's right for you.
On the 4 p.m. 411 here on WLCN 96.3 FM. Once again, our guest until 4:30, Lincoln Mayor Tracy Welch, 217-648-5510, the number to call if you have questions. We've covered kind of a smattering of topics before we get too far away from the one we were just, or one of them we were just talking about. You mentioned the Logan County Board Chair, J.R. Glenn, and sort of the one hand knowing what the other is doing, efforts that you're going to try and make. You mentioned that he would be at the next Coffee with the Mayor event that you'll be holding. Can you give us details about when and where and that kind of stuff?
March 29th at 9 a.m. at Guest House. And Chief of Police will be attending, and Chairman Glenn, and then council member to be determined.
Okay. So sounds like you'll have a full house.
Yep.
Well, we've got a smattering of topics here left on our list. And on past shows, we've talked about, and we haven't talked about it for the past few months, I guess, the safety of downtown folks and making some efforts to make things safer for individuals, workers, even families to be downtown. You mentioned There's been some expansion, I guess you could say, on that front. Yeah,
the chief likes to call this phase 3.
Okay.
We don't know how many phases there will be. I mean, essentially what we're trying to do is we're expanding the range that is covered by that camera setup that we have down there. And it's already proven to help the police officers solve crimes, several in fact, just by having that there. I think it creates a safer environment. You know, we've got other work to do. There's some alleys we want to light up and stuff this year. But it's a good program, and I'm glad that the council has supported the funding of it and that the chief is, taking that by the horns and working with our vendor on that. So, hopefully people come downtown, they feel safer, they get out, they can do things, and we just move forward. Yeah.
Sure. So we mentioned before. Now, initially there wasn't it an alley that's just off of is it Pulaski's? No.
Yeah,
Pulaski
it was
Street.
the alley between Chicago and Kickapoo, and the alley runs between Broadway and Pulaski.
Okay.
So there was some activity that was going on back there, and business owners didn't feel safe. There's people that actually live back in that alley too.
Oh, wow.
And so we've been able to, through those cameras being up back there, identify suspects in crimes and curtail some of that. And so that's proven to be successful. We've got ones on the courthouse lawn, and they've helped solve crimes like there's been some scuffles and fights between people. The Christmas tree this year, it was instrumental in helping identify the people who stole the Christmas tree. And so, we're just looking to expand where we feel that we need the coverage.
And that was my next question. Is there sort of a target area or a certain radius, like X number of blocks away from the courthouse that you're looking, or do you kind of look at where there's been maybe criminal activity and make sure that those areas are covered? How do you determine which areas would be the areas?
Well, the next area that you're going to see them in is over by the arcade and the Shea parking lot. I mean, those are some dark lots back there at night, and people, even at the county courthouse, when we get into the winter months, it gets dark and they park their vehicles back there. Mm-hmm. So between that and there's probably some lighting activities we need to do as well in those areas. We're really just trying to ensure that if something does happen, that we can help solve the crime. But more than anything, we want it to be a deterrent for people. Mm-hmm. So
there you go. Got on my list here solar power, solar expansion. You mentioned that there were some goings on the solar front around town.
Yeah, the council is having discussions. We're actually talking about again tonight about solar farms in the city of Lincoln, residential solar, things of that nature. So there's been a couple of small solar arrays that have popped up, and they're currently within ordinance to do so. But I think them being installed has raised some questions by constituents and council members. Do we really have this buttoned up? Does it cover everything we need it to cover? And so we'll have those conversations. And actually, I think that goes back into our conversation with the county. Mm-hmm. So, because if we can lean on each other and have kind of a consistent approach throughout the county, I think that could help. So, we're going to talk about it tonight, and we'll see where we end up.
So are the concerns then regarding solar have to do with just how the property looks with the installation of the panels, or is there actual like electrical provider types of issues, or does it all have to do with what you see?
I believe it's a lot to do with aesthetics.
Okay.
Really, it's ground mounted solar is really the approach here, and how do people feel when they look out their window and see a ground mounted solar array next to their house? There's been mixed. I've talked with people and says it doesn't really bother me, and other people's like, I don't want to see that. Mm-hmm. And so to try to meet the needs of everybody and ensure that we don't restrict people's ability to look into those green initiatives and save money, we got to find a fine balance for that. Mm-hmm. Because there are solar panels on houses throughout town, right. And Lord knows, given the rate of electricity and everything else, we need to save where we can.
Right, absolutely. And speaking of saving, although it's a saving of a different type, you mentioned to me that there's a larger presence of police here in the area here for the next few days.
Yeah, there is. Officer Fruget, she's the school resource officer for Central, mm-hmm. but she is also our DARE officer. Right. And you might have seen that she came up and talked to the council about DARE funding, mm-hmm. and things of that nature. She runs a phenomenal program on, quite honestly, a shoestring budget. But if you drive down Fifth Street for the next 2 weeks and you drive by the police station, you'll see that the parking lot is packed. And that's because we have officers throughout the country, not just the state, but throughout the entire country, who are here, and they are going through DARE training to learn more about DARE and improve their DARE programs where they're from. And I think that's a testament to Christy and the program that she's helped set up, that we can house that type of program that people will come here and take advantage of. Also, we get all of those officers in town. They stay in our hotels. They're spending money eating at restaurants and gas and stuff. So all around, it's good for the city of Lincoln.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've had Christy on the Cheap Seat show a few times, and the DARE program, I mean, you think of it as the drug abuse resistance education, but they do so much more than that. From clothing and shoes and just a wide variety of ways that she helps the lives of young people, and it's certainly something to be proud of, and obviously getting some recognition here now.
Yeah, she definitely has the passion and drive for that, and we're very, very, very lucky in Lincoln to have someone such as Christy that's running that program.
Yeah, absolutely. So once again, our guest, Mayor Tracy Welch, he will have a Coffee with the Mayor event on March 29th from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. We'll be at Guest House again.
Guest House.
And we'll have Mayor Welch, as well as Logan County Board Chair J.R. Glenn, Chief of Police
Joe Meister.
Joe Meister, yeah. Couldn't think of his name there. And a to-be-determined special guest from the city council members. So let's see. I think we've covered our agenda here. So you mentioned there's a council meeting tonight.
We do.
Okay. And those are... you're back in the main chambers. You had to move for a little bit due to the elevator repair? Or
the City Hall's been going through an upgrade. If nobody's been to City Hall lately, just go in and take a look around. You don't even have to stop at an office. I mean, we've got new flooring in there.
Oh, wow.
New elevator. All the walls have been painted. The windows have been done. The roof has been done. A lot of hard work's gone into that building to make sure that building is around for decades to come. So it looks beautiful. They've done a great job.
And when we talked about it before, you mentioned that efforts were made to kind of preserve the architecture of the era, and so like the windows, for example, were made to be authentic to what was used originally, and the phone booth is still in place.
And the phone booth is still in place. We went to great lengths to make sure that made it back up there.
All right, very good. Well, thank you for joining us once again, Mayor Welch, and we will see you 3 weeks, I guess, first Tuesday of March.
Yep.
And once again, as I mentioned, Viewpoint tomorrow morning, 8 to 8:30. Dara Entwistle will have representatives from Hope on 5th talking about some of the work going on there. And next week, not quite sure who we'll have as a guest here, but we'll be back 4 p.m. here on Tuesday, and we will have a newsmaker for you. But for right now, for Lincoln Mayor Tracy Welch, I am Loyd Kirby, and thank you for watching the 4 p.m. 411 and for listening.
This live video stream is made possible in part by WLCN's live stream technology sponsor, Me Realty, located at 602 Keokuk Street in Lincoln, and online at merealty.com. The preceding program is a presentation of WLCN 96.3 FM and WLCNonline.com.